Here are a few other things that you can do with Windows File Explorer. I have File Explorer opened and I am looking in the Documents folder, and there is a file in here called New Text that I just created a little while ago. If I were to double click that file, what Windows would do would be to open it up inside the appropriate application to work on that file. So if I wanted, I could go and do more work on it. If I close that file without making any changes to it, it just closes it fine. But let me open it up again, and I can make a little change to it. I can just add one more letter to it. And then if I go and try to close the program, it is going to chide me for not saving the program because I made some changes to it. If I were to click on save, it would then just save it with the exact same file name. And now when I open New Text, I can see that it has my extra edit in there. If I wish to rename that file, there is an option on the Home tab in the ribbon bar. There is an option right here that says Rename. You notice when I hover over something, a tooltip pops out. That's the text that says Rename F2. F2 is the keyboard shortcut to allow you to rename a file. So file names are not fixed in stone. You can change them at any time and make them be something that's meaningful to you because it will help you find the files later. So if I click on that, you'll notice that the file name has now become highlighted in blue. It is totally selected, and at the end of it is sitting the vertical insertion bar, which means as soon as I start typing, whatever is selected will replace that. So if I call it a new file name, I can type it whatever I want. But there are some letters I cannot use. For example, if I press the slash, notice I get told that no, a file name can't contain any of the following characters. Those characters, the two slashes, colon, asterisk, question mark, are reserved characters that are used by the operating system, so we cannot use those. When I am done changing the file name, I can either hit the Enter key to tell the computer that I am done with my edit to the name, which I'll do right now, or I could have clicked elsewhere, and that would have done the very same thing. What about if I want to get a little order to my Documents folder here because I realize that, boy, I'm starting a new project and this new file name should indeed be in a separate folder. You'll notice that there is an option within the Home tab called New Folder. That folder will be created in the default or current folder that I am in. So I'm in the Documents folder now. If I were to click on New Folder, that folder would be created within the Documents folder. So I click on New Folder. The content pane has displayed to the end, and there is a file name called New Folder. But instead, I am going to rename it to Project X. I now have created a folder. I will hit Enter. That folder has now been created, so I have made a new container where I can put all of the appropriate files that relate to themselves under Project X. If I double click on Project X, you can see that the content pane has changed to show me that the folder is empty. Indeed, there is nothing in there. I look up here and I can see, yeah, I am in Project X in the path bar, or if I wish, I could go and expand the documents by clicking on the expansion arrow, and Project X has the highlight on it. So indeed, that folder is empty. I can go back one level by clicking on there, and there's the Project X. So in the effort of getting organized, that new file that I had created, a new file name, I realized that, I do not want it in the main Documents folder. I want it in Project X. There are several ways to get it in there. In this case, I'll show you the most straightforward, and that is called dragging and dropping. That means if I put the pointer on top of the desired file, or called the source file, I can then drag it to the destination. Dragging involves putting the pointer on top of the desired item, pressing and holding down the primary or left mouse button, and then moving the pointer along. And notice as soon as I do that, you can see that I am getting a prompt, move to whatever folder I'm over. When I get over top of Project X, and if I were to release the left mouse button, which I will do right now, you'll notice that the file that was here is no longer there because File Explorer has moved it into Project X. double click on it to choose it, and sure enough, there is the file in there. I can go up to the View tab, and I can choose large icons or even extra large icons here to see that. Within File Explorer, if I want to see the content of what that is, I can turn on the preview pane, and then when I click on this, I can see my file, the contents of the file within there. And I can turn that on or off as frequently as I want. There's a detail pane as well too, which just gives you kind of that detail information that you can also see in detail view as well, but can be useful nonetheless. I can turn them off just by clicking on them again, and they disappear. I'll go back to the Documents pane. So that's how you can rename a file, how you can create a new folder, and how you can organize your file system by literally dragging and dropping the desired files to new locations.